Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee with Craig, where we talk about all things firearms policy, politics, culture, media, you name it. We're talking about it right here on Coffee with Craig. So please take a moment, like and share the program. And by the way, encourage your friends to do the same. And if you're watching us on YouTube or on Facebook, make sure you hit that notification button. That way you'll be notified as soon as these programs go live, and you'll be able to participate in the live chat as the program is taking place. Also, take a moment and please visit FPC Gear. That's fpcgear.com. Folks, it is the place to look cool. Seriously, this is the place to get all of your cool Pro 2A swag. And we've got a bunch of it, both for both men and for women, once again, available out there for you. And the best part about it is, every dollar that you spend goes right back into the fight for our right to keep and bear arms. So you can support the Second Amendment and you can look good doing it. That's fpcgear.com. All right, folks, let's get into today's topic, shall we? You guys remember the saga of Dave Chipman and how we were successful in taking someone who was a rabid, when I say rabid, I mean rabid, anti-gun activist, anti-civil rights, anti-constitutional rights activist, someone who has made it his mission in life to keep individuals from being able to keep and bear arms. We were successful. When I say we, I mean it in the very broadest sense. I mean we as in all of us who made our voices heard to our elected officials, to members of Congress, members of the Senate specifically, that you cannot have someone who is an aggressive advocate against the right to keep and bear arms manning the agency that oversees the regulations surrounding the right to keep and bear arms. Well, there's another guy that's been nominated to do this very same thing. His name is Steve Dettelbach, and he is a bad guy. He ran for office in Ohio. He ran for attorney general and was an aggressive anti-gun activist in his time running during his candidacy. And so now they want to make him director of the ATF, overseeing an administrative agency. I don't think so. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about who Mr. Dettelbach is and why he needs to be opposed with Policy Counsel for the Firearms Policy Coalition, Mr. Matt Larosiere. Matt, welcome back to the program.
Craig, it's good to see you. Been a minute.
It has been a minute. How have you been, my friend?
Yeah, I've been well, man. How about yourself?
Busier than a one-legged man in a bucking contest, let me tell you. But having a good time, having a lot of interesting conversations lately. Well, in particular about our good friend, Mr. Steve Dettelbach.
Yes.
More like Chipman 2.0.
Something like that.
Something like that.
This is a most assured dweeb.
Most assured dweeb. So tell us a little bit about Mr. Dettelbach.
Well, he was picked on early and often in school, which is, usually the correct way to prevent this type of antisocial behavior. But apparently it had some sort of negative effect on Mr. Dettelbach. And now he has, through a series of failing upwards, which is usually the case in government, found himself being thrust to the position of ATF director. And of course, there are certain people in our government, Mr. Schumer, who are pushing very hard to make sure this happens. And because they're saying that, oh, well, the ATF doesn't have a director. We need this to ensure that there's accountability and faithful enforcement of the law and all this stuff. And they've been saying this for a while now, as we even saw back with Chipman. But the interesting thing is they never really considered the acting directors for the position, instead going straight to these lifelong advocates of the most extreme form of gun control that are espoused publicly. So it almost makes it seem like they're not so much looking for a faithful bureaucrat to run a bureaucratic organization, but rather something else.
Oh, you mean someone who's going to come in and basically ban guns?
Or either that or abuse their power in some other bizarre way that we have a hard time even foreseeing, right? People who are advocates, who are seeking to change the law rather than enforce it, or even, well, frankly, just enforce the immoral laws we already have with too much vim and vigor.
Well, it's funny because this is a guy who, if you want to know if he is an advocate, just well, just a snippet of the questioning that took place in his hearing, and you will notice very quickly that no, policy and technology and all of that isn't exactly his thing. There is something though that is.
Thank you. Mr. Dettelbach, in your 2018 campaign for Attorney General, you called for a ban on so-called assault weapons. What is an assault weapon? Could you define it for me?
Senator, when I was a candidate for office, I did talk about restrictions on assault weapons. I did not define the term, and I haven't gone through the process of defining that term. That would only be for the Congress if it chose to take that up to do, and if you chose to take it up, I would be at the ATF, and there is perhaps expertise or data we could give you so that you could make the appropriate decision to both protect the public and protect the Second Amendment.
So you're running for public office and you called for a ban on assault weapons, but you don't have a definition for assault weapons?
Senator.
It's like, I don't know what it is, but we got to get rid of it. Now, that sounds like he's a bit of an expert in politispeak.
Yeah, this is I was actually thinking this whole time, wow, this show sucks. Change the channel. Oh wait, this is real. It's wild there, and of course we know what he's trying to do there, right? He's trying to like weasel snake his way into seeming like a decent pick, because everybody knows the purpose of this office is not to advocate for changes, right? Is not to make new law, but to faithfully and dispassionately give force to the existing law. And so he was kind of like appealing to that when he did that. He was saying, oh well, no. Back when I was a politician, okay, I was doing this, but now it's up to you, right? I don't want to ban the assault weapons. It's up to you, and if you do it, I'll help you, right? So it shows you two things, right? You could take two things from it. One, you could take that he doesn't know what he's talking about, which is probably true. But two, you could take that he's a damn liar. Like that's clear as day. I'm telling you, he knew what he was going to go for when he called for a ban on assault weapons. He was probably thinking a California style ban.
Right. Well, no, most definitely. But it also demonstrates, like you said, what we have come to learn. And it didn't take me long once I started as a legislative advocate, advocating on behalf of the Second Amendment, to realize, number one, how little I actually knew about firearms policy, firearms technology, and most importantly, the intersection of the two. And then I came to realize how many people who are either writing policy, creating policy, or were enforcing policy, how little they knew. And I within months, I realized I knew more than most of them. That was scary.
Well, and why would they? They get spoon-fed their talking points, right? They get told exactly what it is they have to go from. There's no reason for them to do independent research. There's no reason for them to do, as somebody who's read a painful amount of material on firearms technology and policy and law, it's hard. So why, why would a political person want to do that? That's hard. That's like, that would be like work.
Right. Well, and we can't have our politicians working. That just would set a really bad expectation.
That's absurd. That's for the serfs. That's for us working people.
It is beyond frustrating, because once again, this is the guy who's going to be tasked with, keep in mind, it was the ATF that came up with the regulations to ban the bump stock. It's the ATF that is redefining stuff as we speak. It's the ATF that's basically gone after FFLs, basically taking away licenses for paperwork errors. And when you get someone in there, it's bad enough when you have someone who is a career agent, right? Who's forced with doing some of this stuff. It's a whole nother thing when you have an advocate, someone who will gleefully engage in these activities.
It reminds me of what people would say, in the Boy Scouts, you don't want to pick the supervisor who's really eager to take the kids into the woods.
Right.
You want to pick the one that goes, "Damn it, I don't want to," right? And where Dettelbach's going, "Oh boy,
I get to take people's guns." But
this is going to be so cool.
Well,
Yeah.
Previously, before we were talking, you actually brought up a decent point. Why aren't they looking at any of the career agents that have been the acting ATF directors?
That's an interesting question, right? And especially, and I'm not going to say anyone would be a good ATF director except for maybe me or maybe you, right? Because my definition of a good ATF director is somebody who would go in and fire everybody, shut the doors, and sell it, turn it into a chocolate factory or something like that. But the government's definition of a good ATF, and I mean constitutionally, if it were to somehow be constitutional, would be like a lobster-clawed accountant who doesn't have any opinions or hobbies or interests whatsoever. They just sit all day and read laws and just like they have a button for fits in the law or doesn't fit in the law. And they use each one of their little lobster claws to hit one or the other. They don't make new policy. And so it could be that those guys were too close, having been career bureaucrats, having been career accountant type people, were too close to that. And so they've got to pull from outside to get a fresh, excited advocate to try to push changes by going around Congress.
Well, now here's an interesting thing, and this is a thing for you Democrats who put for those of you who are into the equity, look at things through the equity lens. Just recently, there was another director. There was an ATF director, an acting ATF director who's African American. I know this because I saw the press release that was put out by the National African American Gun Rights Association. But they noted that they had an African American acting director who, by the way, was acting director for the second time. And they were wondering and asking, why is he not being considered for ATF director? Well, their insinuation might be, well, it's because he's black. But I think it's more because he's a career agent who's not interested in politics, just doing the function of the job, which is helping to enforce U.S. gun law.
Well, and also similarly suspiciously, I think she was dreadful. She was, a vile human. But Regina Lombardo was acting director for a long time and bent to the government's will. Why'd they go over her? You don't want to have a female, head of a agency. Could it be that Regina Lombardo wasn't extreme enough?
Well, all I know is, man, we've got to make sure that this individual does not become ATF director, and we can still do that. I believe there's a website that people can go to. What do you know?
I heard
what that
about
website's
a website
called?
Yeah, it's called. Check it out. You go to stopsteve.com.
Stopsteve.com.
And
that's right, folks.
Stop them.
Stopsteve.com. And folks, it's real simple. Look, you need to go there. You need to make your voice heard. You need to send a letter, send an email, and make your voice heard. Let folks know. Let the people who are making these decisions in the Senate know this is not the guy. I know a guy. This ain't the guy.
Hey, it helps, and it's free to do.
Yeah, exactly. It does help, and it is free to do. And it was from pressure by you out there watching. It was from pressure by you that sunk David Chipman. So if we've done it once, we can do it again. But we've got to
do it every week.
What'd you say?
So we can do it every week.
Then we'll just do it every week. We'll just no. You guys just keep the interim ATF director. We're okay with that. All right. So hey, how can folks follow the work that you're doing over there as policy counsel?
Well, we've got all kinds of work coming out. So, of course, just keep an eye on the FPC social media and, of course, on the website. All of your guys' support is incredible and makes it all possible.
Yes. Folks, remember, it's vitally important that you guys support this work. And what I like, here's the thing I like about FPC. FPC shows you what you're getting, right? It's not. They show you the work that they're doing. They talk to you in detail about the lawsuits. They show you the research that they do. The advocacy is real. They show you testimony when they show up in committee, because it's important for you to know that this month that your investment is going to protect your rights. So please make sure you support FPC. Any closing comments before we end this episode?
No, I don't think so. Aside from, guys, you got to stop Steve.
StopSteve.com.
.com.
All right. Thank you, Matt. We'll talk to you later. All right, folks. Well, hey, that's going to be it for this episode of Coffee with Craig. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. Remember, this is a fight for our civil rights. Got to use them or you're going to lose them. You guys take care.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.